CashFlow Diary Podcast, episode 445.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary Podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today because I know you're out there building your business. That's what you are doing. You're listening to this podcast because part of what you want to do is you want to hear the stories of other people and how they built their business and what are they up to and what can you learn. Well, I think today is going to be one of those days where you're not only glad that you're listening, you're going to be glad that you shared this particular episode because you're probably going to hear something that someone else needs to hear as well. You're like, Jay, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? Well, I'm saying that because today's guest has been through what I would call the proverbial ringer. She's seen some of the biggest types of rejection that you could possibly imagine, but she didn't let that be the end of the story. So if you've been looking for something to inspire you past that next roadblock, I hope that you are ready because here's what I do know about you. You have a mission inside of you and you want to see it come to light. In fact, it may be a mission that no one else has ever considered, something completely brand new, but you know very well it deserves its place in this world. And I think today's guest is going to be able to help you understand that completely. I have with me none other than Neale Godfrey. Now, understand this. Her list of accomplishments is long, very long. So when I say that, she was one of the first female executives at a bank, presidents of a woman's bank, that she had a passion and still has this passion to teach financial literacy, not only for women, for children, for wounded warriors, etc. But she's gone out there and helped over 500,000 kids. Just understand what that takes. That's a lot of energy, right? She's currently a columnist for Forbes. And most importantly, she's making time for you and I today. So take out those pads, take out those pens, or whatever device that you are using, because I know you and I are about to learn some things from none other than Neale Godfrey. Neale, you there?
Yeah, Jay, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you for being here indeed and making the time because your list of accomplishments is very long, so I know that you're busy. Now, this being the first time that you're here, though, I have a question that I tend to ask everybody the first time that they're here. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Black Widow, etc. Because I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. Chief among them, occasionally as an entrepreneur, I can envision myself as possibly flying around town and wearing capes and tights and saving my customers with our products and services. But also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. So take Spider-Man, for example. There was a time he was just a kid going to school, trying to get some good grades, taking some photos, make sure he had some pizza money, maybe go on a date every now and again. That was kind of his life until he gets bit by this spider. He gets bit by a spider, suddenly discovers, I have a superhuman ability, and am I going to use it for good or evil? So my question to you, Neale, is as follows. Before, you literally inventing the whole concept of teaching kids money, before your 27 books, before being the columnist you are, before even your brand new website at nealegodfrey.com, before all of that and everything that we know you for today, what we want to know is, who is?
Well, if you really asked me who I am, but the question really is, what's my superpower, right?
But no, but either one. Most people tend to go with who they are, but I am curious to know what your superpower is too.
I'll tell you what my superpower is. I was waiting for that, Jay, my superpower. Well, I mean, what I am as a person is I get to live my passion. And how lucky I am. But my superpower is I put a shield up really quickly when the rejection comes in. Because you know what we're most afraid of? We're most afraid of people saying no to us. We live our lives that way. And we're afraid of being embarrassed. We're afraid of people saying no. We're afraid of that cute boy rejecting us. We're afraid of getting fired. We're afraid of all that stuff, Jay. And you know what? I put the shield up. I put it up really, really quickly. And what I do is I say, you know what? They didn't mean no. What they meant is they didn't understand what I'm doing, because if they really understood what I'm doing and what I'm saying, they would be thrilled to be doing it with me. So I didn't do a good job explaining it. So that's what rejection comes in, and that shield goes up. And you know what? If more of us develop that shield, we'd have a different place. People would be the entrepreneurs that you're teaching them to be. And I love what you're doing. I love your inspiration. I love your energy. So that's my superpower, the shield.
Got it. Totally. I like it. But I have a question, because again, like all superheroes, entrepreneurs have a beginning. So did you just wake up one day awesome, or what was your process of discovery?
Well, basically, I kind of listened to my own drummer. I didn't realize that until people would say it, because when I was doing stuff, it just seemed to make sense to me. For instance, as my mother pointed out to me, in kindergarten, when we, as little girls in those days, in the dark ages, we had to wear little dresses to school. Well, that didn't make any sense because they wanted us playing in the outside in the playground. So, and also my whole thing was, my costume at the time was cowboy outfits, boy cowboy outfits. So I had a black cowboy outfit and a white cowboy outfit. My mother actually tells the story that she convinced me to get 2 cowboy outfits because one always had to be in the laundry. She actually went to the superintendent of school and said, newsflash, this kid's only coming to kindergarten if she can wear her cowboy outfits. By the way, with matching hats, matching guns, which we were allowed to bring to school in those days, and matching boots. I just want you to know there was an ensemble. So I didn't know I was different. It just made sense to me. And P.S., nobody teased me because they just knew I was a cowboy. So
yeah, that's the way it was supposed to be. I like it.
Well, yeah, hello. And I think if everybody just felt that way, that it was like, okay, then I think we'd be different. So I don't know, maybe then, who knows? I think my first entrepreneurial situation was actually extortion. I had 2 extortion things that I did as a youngster. As a 6-year-old, our neighbor had grapes hanging over. They had vineyards, and they had a grape thing hanging over my yard. So what I did is I picked the grapes. Yeah, hello. And what I did, which was even more clever, on the back of a Chianti bottle, you could see sort of this Italian woman with the big basket and the grapes there with the grape leaves, and it looked really pretty. So what I did is put an apron on, and laid the grapes out. So I looked like the woman on the Chianti bottle, and went next door and sold them back their grapes. And they were so embarrassed that they actually bought their own grapes back. And I did this for a while until my mother was, what are you doing with the grapes and the apron and the schmata on your head? What's going on here? And it was, I'm busted. So anyway, I got busted and I had to give them all the money back. That was one extortion, which I thought, made sense to me. Then the other one was, we had big storm sewers. This is just This is
Okay.
not sewage. It's just for storms. The water goes through it. And when I was 10 years old, what I did is got my flashlight and collected the kids in town, and they had to pay me a dime. I told them to bring a lot of change with you, and I brought them into the storm sewer with the flashlight and then turned it off at the end, scared them to death, because that's what you do, and then charged them a quarter to lead them out to put the flashlight back on.
No.
Yeah, and by the way, it was really, really popular until once again I was shut down. So my early entrepreneurial things, and again, busted, shut down. What's that about? So anyway, I wasn't allowed to do that. So I think I was an entrepreneur from a young age. I'm thinking, Jay. Yeah.
Well. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking right now is, where there was no demand, you created demand. You literally created demand. I mean, you say, hey, come. That is amazing, because no one was thinking about. They weren't thinking about buying their own grades. No one was thinking, hey, I need a flashlight. Anyway, got it. So take me on this journey. How do we go from leading kids out in the dark to leading adults through financial challenges? There's got to be a transition there.
A middle ground there. Well, I always worked. I worked from the age of 10, obviously, scaring people, all the way through adulthood. I mean, that's when I started working, and I worked my way through college. So you do a lot of goofy jobs getting through college. I did all those. And then I got out, and by accident, literally, I'd love to tell you that I had this design to go into banking. I didn't. I found myself by accident at this interview.
Sure.
And got the job, certainly through no talent of my own. And then when I got in there, I thought, whoa, I guess I really want to be the best of whatever's going on here. And I did. So they gave me lots of opportunities. I actually put together the largest merger in the history of the United States in 1981. At that point, it was the DuPont Conoco merger. I think it was because nobody else wanted to do it, because all you could do is mess it up. And it was like, okay, I can do that. So I did. So I got a lot of opportunity, because again, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? And they say no. And so, okay, you mess it up. All right, whatever. And, I didn't. So I kept gaining experience. And then you have to know when to cut. I knew I was never going to be president of Chase. That wasn't going to happen. So I was age 34, and I thought, what's on my list? And I want to be a bank president. And this opportunity came, and I became a bank president. And then again, opportunity. As an entrepreneur, you have to have your eyes open. You have two things. One, don't be afraid. And two, keep your eyes open. So when I found out that women needed to be educated about money, and I did research and found out, why are we disempowered? Is because we were never taught anything as kids. So I went to look for books to teach my own kids, because I didn't want them to be dummies about money. And there were none. And after I had schlepped my kids to about 15 bookstores in New York City, my daughter, my 3-year-old, said, enough. Okay, enough about going to look for books about money. Mommy, there are none. Why don't you just write the books? And there was this moment that hit me. And she saw the look on my face. And she stood there and said, oh, whoa, you're afraid. Well, Miss Single Mother. Yeah. So I did what any great mother does. I crouched, established eye contact with my 3-year-old, and said, no, I'm not afraid. And of course I was. Of course I was afraid.
Right.
Then as an entrepreneur, and you know this, Jay, you have to have that big conversation with yourself. So I had it in the mirror, literally talking to myself. I'm a bank president. I certainly would be stupid to go be an entrepreneur, because to me, entrepreneur meant starving to death and working out of your basement. I mean, why would you do that? So,
yes, exactly.
Right? I mean, right. I'm a bank president. No, I've got 2 kids. I'm sole support. I can't do that. Oh, okay, fine. And then I walk away, and then I came back. Really?
Yeah.
You're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Put on your big girl panties and go figure it out. You figured everything else out. Go figure it out. So in those days, if you're going to be an expert, I had to establish myself as an expert. So you go write a book. That was our calling card in those days. So I wrote a book.
No, you didn't. You wrote 27. So let's be really clear.
Well, I did. I wrote 27. Okay, I wrote 27. Yes, I did.
Yeah, you don't seem to stop at one. You don't stop at the beginning. You like to see things all the way through. But something that you've said a couple of times that I want to pick out, because while it's a foregone conclusion in your world, many people, and many that are listening, in fact, let smaller things stop them. I mean, you specifically said, what's the worst that's going to happen? All they're going to say is no. And so what? You're afraid. Move forward anyway. I mean, you're saying these things as if they're just easy to ignore. Where does that come from? Because a lot of people, they don't have that.
It doesn't. I'll tell you what the deal is. You have to honor the pain. Every time I got rejected, my deal was don't cry in front of them. I would make it out to the street before I'd burst into tears. I give myself exactly 3 hours wallowing in rejection. And I'm good. It entails ice cream, chocolate, and normally pizza in the wallowing period. I'm just telling you. I don't look great in tights. You were talking about Superman. No, you don't want to see me in tights. But screw it. But anyway, the fact of the matter is you need to honor the fact that that's pain. You don't just keep, la, 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 la. And then you go, put your big girl panties on, and now what am I going to do? Because I have a choice. I can stop, which isn't going to make me happy, or I can keep going and figure it out. And there's an answer to it. Is it surround yourself by the right people? Is it try it in a different way? Is it you need to listen to them because you're doing it the wrong way? What? Are they afraid? Is it too big a corporation and they can't move past themselves? Which in the case of getting my first book published, they were too big. I went to the largest publishing company in the world, to Simon & Schuster, because I figured if I'm going to be an expert, I have to have the world's largest publishing company publish me. Okay, that made sense.
Of course.
They didn't want to take the risk. They're not going to take a risk on me. Number one, they don't know who I am. And number two, it's a new topic. We're not going to start that. So their whole thing was they weren't going to do it until someone else published it first. So what I did is I knew how to do leverage buyouts from my days at Chase Manhattan Bank. So I bought a publishing company in order to publish my first book. Not with my money, by the way. I did a leverage buyout of a division of Macmillan under the proviso that I'd run the company, which I didn't want to do, that I would be, president of the publishing company if they published my book. And that's what we did. So they published my book. I sold 50,000 copies, and then I sold the company. And then I went back to Simon & Schuster.
There's something that's interesting that's occurring to me right now, because I've got to ask you specifically this, because someone listening today, is like, when you say that there's a publisher and they said no, and you had to find a way around. I mean, in today's world, if you want to write a book, you write a book, you sell it on Amazon, you do your own thing. So I'm kind of curious as to how you view, I guess, if you will, the entrepreneurial landscape because to me, I don't have your level of experience, but still to me, it feels like the barriers for entry have all but disappeared.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Absolutely. When people say that they want to write a book and they need an agent and stuff, no, don't do it. You've got the world of media in front of you. Absolutely. Self-publish the thing and get it out there. What you have to do is, in today's world, is the get it out there part is what the challenge is. Write it. Be proud of it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you blog it out there. I don't care how you get it. You've got a voice, and you're right. That barrier isn't there anymore. Nope.
No. So with that, okay, so then let's have this conversation. If that barrier isn't there, what are today's entrepreneurs fearing when it comes to rejection? Because there's not like we're going to Simon & Schuster, because we don't have to. I mean, and if you want to do video, you go to YouTube. If you want to do audio, go to podcasts. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you have a phone. In fact, if you're listening to us right now, you have the very device that can actually create the media you're talking about. So what help me? How do you see these things today? This is interesting.
Here's the problem. It's getting the people to listen to you and getting the eyeballs to watch you. You know, because most of those videos are, number one, ridiculously controversial, or watching, you know, a cat dribble a basketball, which is mildly interesting, but not that interesting. You know, so if you have something to say and it's serious and it's not, you know, bearing some part of your body, it's really hard to get people to listen. That's the problem. It's the competition out there. When I published with the major publishers, there were about 25 major books that came out per publishing house. I'm talking major, the big books. And that's not a lot of noise out there. And you got shelf space in the major companies. And I was on Oprah. I was doing Oprah. The publishers were falling over themselves to get my books out there. Well, that doesn't happen today. There is no one who's going to push a book. Most of the books coming out are by famous people or again, very controversial stuff. So it depends upon what you have. You've got to work your tush off to get it out there. And you've got to do it one click at a time. You know, are you advertising on Facebook? Are you getting out there on Instagram? How are you developing your community? Because that's what people want. They want a community today.
Yeah, it's funny how with all the technological advances, the one thing we still crave is human interaction. But I guess the thing that's going through my head right now, though, is you carved a completely new space. You know, when it comes to teaching kids financial literacy, I mean, that didn't exist. There was no community for you at that time. I mean, Today, sure, it's kind of accepted, but what would you say to that entrepreneur who's listening and thinking about developing something that no one's heard of right now, but is feeling a little discouraged?
Hello there, entrepreneur. This is Jay Massey, and what I want to say to you is that the number one mistake that I have ever made in business, number one, has been waiting too long to do the books, waiting too long to get the bookkeepers, the accountants, the CPAs, the CFOs involved, and I don't want you to make that same mistake. That mistake cost me over 6 figures, and now for a significant discount, you have the ability to get your books together using FreshBooks. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflow diary. Again, that's gofreshbooks.com/cashflow diary. FreshBooks is the easy to use software designed to help you, the small business owner, the freelancer, get organized and save time on invoicing, getting paid faster, keeping those books in order so that it becomes a bonus for you to do your taxes as opposed to a burden. Go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflow diary and get started today. And now let's get back to the rest of the story.
Keep going. Number one, try to really define the market. Really talk about how you differentiate yourself. And the fact of the matter is the big leaps in innovation take place when it doesn't exist and you actually create the need. Like, you know, with Apple, it didn't exist. I mean, he had to create a need. Amazon, Bezos created the need. We didn't even know you could use a computer to buy things. And he started selling books and created the need out there. We don't know that we need certain hand creams and face stuff and foot things and purple hair and whatever. So, you know, we know we needed purple hair. So find out how you are going to differentiate yourself. And you know what? You don't even have to invent it. You can create something that's better, smoother, faster, whatever that is, more unique. We didn't know. Look around your room.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff that you don't need. I do need
no.
purple sneakers, right.
It felt like I needed it at the time, which actually gets me to the point of your I'll call it your whole mission when it comes down to trying to help someone learn about finances. I mean, that seems like a daunting task, and you're wanting to you've mastered, if you will, helping children learn about finances, which you take either one of those subjects, finances or working with kids, by themselves, and most people scatter to the four winds. You've combined them and go, yeah, no, bring that over to me. So where does that come from?
I teach all people about money. Here's the deal with money.
Sure.
Money is this exclusive kind of club. And just like medicine, they speak their own language. They want to be in the club. They're real smart. Well, here's the deal. I take what seems to be daunting and sophisticated and make it simple. Because my whole thing is, if you can't explain it so I can understand it, then you actually don't know what the hell you're talking about. So all I do is take all that stuff and make it easy so that everyone goes, that's all I have to know about investing? Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to know to buy a car? Yep, that's it. That's all I have to know to have that conversation with my husband about money? Yeah. My mother-in-law's in my face about something with money? That's all I need? Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's it. And we fight more about money than we fight about any other topic, and it creates more stress in our lives. 80% of all divorces are due to money issues. But if you can communicate and you have the language to deal with it, guess what? You start understanding all the emotional baggage that you took into that relationship around money. And then that's all it is? Yeah. It's the business side of our lives. It's not the emotional side. Get out the emotion. That's what I teach people. I make the conversations easy, whether you're talking to or you're talking to your kids. Make it simple. And you know what? Stop making it the biggest secret in the family. Don't expect those kids to be raised to be financially responsible if you don't talk about it.
Huh.
You know what?
That's interesting.
It's easier for us to talk about sex than it is to talk about money. And with sex, you have to take your clothes off. Come on.
That's an interesting perspective. But let me ask you this. When it comes to, money in and of itself and the kids, that does seem like a misplaced expectation to go, hey, my kids are going to be great with money, but I've never shown them anything. What would you say are, like, if a parent comes to you and says, all right, Neale, I can only teach my kid 3 things about money. What are those 3 things that I need to teach my kid? What would you say?
Number 1, the only way you get it is to earn it. So the kids need to be incubated within your household to be put on an allowance to earn money. And they need to learn to earn, save, spend, and share. So you have to teach them the habits of what a budget is, and the habit of saving, and the habit of giving. And then the next thing is show them. Come clean with them, for God's sake. Show them bills. Show them how it works. Show them a real budget. Show them a real electric bill. Show them that their behavior has consequences on that bill. If you have a conversation with the refrigerator door open, you're costing this family money. Cut it out. And I'll add another 4. Finite budget. This is the amount we have to spend. That's it.
Interesting. It's funny that you mentioned the refrigerator door, because I've been actually talking with my own children about their bedroom lights being left on consistently for no reason at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
So I think you've just given me an idea of what I might need to do. So this is good. I like it, and it's practical.
I have a character called Schmutz, because we all have schmutz in our life. Schmutz. And schmutz is a metaphor for, it doesn't matter who creates the mess, we all have to work together to clean it up. It could be an ecological mess, or it could be a financial mess. And I have little schmutz stickers. And by the way, Tom Hester, who created Shrek, created Schmutz with me. I spent 2 weeks with him at his home in California, working with him to develop this character. And I couldn't draw if you put a gun to my head. So, you know what? That's another thing with being an entrepreneur. You have to know when you're outside, you need help doing things. But anyway, I have Schmutz stickers, and I have the kids walk around the house and do their own energy audit. Put a sticker by the things to remind you not to create schmutz. So put a schmutz sticker next to all the lights. Put them next to where you plug in the your cell phones, and on the TV and on the refrigerator, to remind us not to create schmutz.
I like it. And then you actually make it fun. So that at least I can see. Well, I see right now, I was envisioning my son putting stickers. I don't know if he just puts stickers on everything. So I'm just thinking he's going to put stickers on everything. But he would enjoy that process one way or the other. Now, you also do some, or have done some work with the veterans and wounded warriors, if I understand correctly?
Yes. There's a program.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that. Yeah,
there's a program out of Syracuse University where veterans and wounded warriors actually get to attend entrepreneurial school up there. And as part of the program, we work with wounded vets. One program is called VWise, which is for women. Another is called EBV, which is Entrepreneurial Boot Camp for Veterans who are wounded, to help them become entrepreneurs. So they take courses, and we actually kind of incubate and walk them through the process, because they're the heroes who've come back and are not able to do what they thought they could do, but they can do lots of other things. They just need to learn those skills. And one of our vets actually even won Shark Tank. She had a great idea. So that's what we do. And you know what? It's another form of giving back. And if we can do that, why wouldn't we? So I love working with these vets.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, you do so many things, and you have so much going on. How on earth, because I know there's a number of entrepreneurs who feel pressed, I'll say, hard pressed, if you will, for time. I mean, between your column, between being I think you called it an executive in residence. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like it takes up time. So I'm like, there's so many things that you are responsible for, so many people that you're helping. How does it fit in 24 hours, or do you get 48 per day?
I get 48. Here's the deal. There's no such thing as work-life balance. People talk about it and make a lot of money talking about it. Newsflash, there's no such thing. So let that go. If you're doing what you love doing, how lucky we are. And that's the way you have to look at it. And you also have to let everybody in your life know that there are certain things that you're doing at this moment in time. My kids got me a bracelet that said, "I'm in the moment." Does that tell you that I needed a little parenting help? And that's the point. Whatever you're doing, do it and be there. Don't look at the screen while you're sitting at the lacrosse game, because the kids know that. Be doing what you're doing and be fully invested in that. So in terms of whatever you're doing, and by the way, we are so lucky to live in this country. We are so lucky with what we have and the health that we're given. If you don't give, shame on you. And do the stuff where you know you can make a difference, and do it. And that's it. And stop complaining. And that's it.
Got it. So for those that have listened this far, those that are, enjoying what it is that you have to say and probably want to find out more, or maybe even understand more about Schmutz, what's going to be the best way for them to catch up with you and maybe even find out more about what you've got going on at your new website?
Well, I would love everyone to join me on my new website. It's nealegodfrey.com. That's NealeGodfrey.com. And there are tips and tools and podcasts and videos. You can see my crazy house on there. I have a New York City 1959 checker cab in my bathroom. You can even see that. And you can come on to talk about conversations, all those money conversations that you want to have, and ask me the questions that you want to ask about your situation. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're raising those kids and want to, have those conversations, or you're a grandma and you want to go back to work. So please come on, talk to me, and let's start the conversation. We're going to get Jay involved too. He doesn't know it, so.
I like this already. So with that being said, as we wind down, I got a question for you because I'm curious to hear your answer. Let's pretend for a moment that someone who is listening is inspired. They've been inspired before, but they're re-inspired now. They're going, you know what? I'm going to actually do this thing. I'm going to make my entrepreneurial dreams happen. Now, you and I both know, Neale, that when we get to those moments of decision, oftentimes we have a companion, and that companion typically comes in the form of a voice, and that voice often reminds us of what we can't do, why it won't work, how difficult it's going to be, who are we to think that we even possibly could, and for some people, they're even related to that voice. So my question to you is this follows. Let's pretend that the person listening this time is actually going to follow through. In fact, they're going to do so in the next 24 to 48 hours, and they're going to make something happen. Neale, what would you suggest that they do?
Well, first of all, you've got to lower the noise of the people who are surrounding you saying you can't do it, you can't do it. And if it's your own voice saying that, turn that off. What you're going to have to do is, number one, make sure you've got the goal and the vision. And then number two, make sure you've got the tactics to get there, and that you don't get so wed to your own story that you can't change it. That's one of the ways that entrepreneurs fail. They think there's only one way. If your business looks in 2 years like it did when you thought it was a good idea, you don't have a good idea. There isn't anyone who isn't able. Right, Jay? You know that. You've got to be able to pivot and be agile, especially in today's world, because it's moving too fast. So make sure when you've got those friends that you can carve out who aren't going to be supporting you, there, you just picked up a little time because you don't have to talk to them anymore. It's harder to fire a partner, albeit I've fired husbands. But the fact of the matter is that you need to have the support. You also need to articulate what your needs are. You need to say to people, I'm afraid, this is scary stuff. And as an entrepreneur, if you don't wake up in a cold sweat at 3 o'clock in the morning, then you're not out on the edge. So you're supposed to be doing that. If you can't stomach it, then maybe you need to have a different job. And that's fine too. You are not a failure if you need an infrastructure. That's okay. The failure is not understanding yourself and what excites you. So that's the failure part, is not knowing yourself, not saying, you know what, I'm going to work at Home Depot. I cannot do this by myself. I'm not going to invent a hammer all by myself. Can't do it. That's okay.
All right. You know, it's funny that you say that. I just had one of my first staff members tell me a couple days ago, literally said, you know, there's too much freedom here, meaning working with us. There's too much freedom. I can't handle always having control of her workspace, where she gets the work from. Mm-hmm. And I need more structure. So I need to end my time. And I'm just like, wow, no one's ever told me that there's too much freedom, and that doesn't work for you. I'm used to the exact opposite of that.
Exactly.
And it was the strangest experience I've ever had with someone, that now I have to go find a replacement for, but still it was like, that is a unique understanding of yourself right there. So I totally appreciate it. I still don't understand it, but I totally appreciated it nonetheless. So I think there's merit in what you're saying there.
Yeah, totally. She did you a favor. What happens when you spent more time training her and getting her involved, and then she said, you know what, I'm not cut out for this. You could have mentioned it a little bit before. Yeah.
Indeed.
I had an assistant who was great and really efficient. And I had moved into my new place, and, fuchsia is sort of my background color. Okay. And she said, I can't work in color. Now, I thought she was kidding. I didn't listen. And she couldn't. She literally couldn't function with color around her. I mean, it's like exactly what you're saying. And it was like, wow, thank you for telling me now, because I'm still painting. But like, whoa, no, I don't get it. That she has to look as if she's working in an institution. But you know what? I'd rather know it, before I got too far down the road. Okay, thank you.
Totally understood. So that definitely.
You dull, boring person, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, right. Let's keep it that way. The what it comes down to, though, is I just want to be one of the first to say thanks. Thanks not only for you being you, but for being willing to do things that others haven't, for making them happen, keeping them happen, keeping your message going, getting your website going, because that in and of itself is also an undertaking. And I definitely appreciate you being willing to share your knowledge, your insight, as well as your wisdom here with us today at the CashFlow Diary.
Well, thank you. This has been awesome, and you're incredible. And I want people to join me on nealegodfrey.com. I want the conversations to keep going. I want you doing podcasts for us too, to talk about entrepreneurship and keep this going, because it does take a village, and you can't do it alone. And there are times that you're going to hit the wall and you need to talk to somebody and go, am I nuts? The answer might be yes, but you need to have that feedback. You can't be an entrepreneur in a vacuum.
That very, very true. Well said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means get over to nealegodfrey.com, NealeGodfrey. Why? You know why already, because you know that there are conversations that you're wanting to have, maybe with your kids, maybe with your parents, maybe with your spouse, and it's surrounding money. You know that these conversations have held you back, and now you know that there's someone out there who can help you. So go make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.